The great hall of the Galactic Council glowed with blue light, its tall arches built from crystal that shimmered like frozen stars. Hundreds of alien species filled the chamber, their voices mixing into a storm of chatter, laughter, and whispers. At the center stood a tall platform where the oldest civilizations gathered to speak. For months, rumors had spread through the galaxy. Humanity, the youngest race to join the stars, had been expanding quietly. They had colonized small moons, built stations, and traded with caution. Yet many older empires did not see them as equals. To most, humans were fragile creatures, thin skin, weak bones, short lives. They were viewed as workers, explorers, or at best, clever engineers. But warriors? Never. One council elder with scales of bronze and long horns curving around his head lifted his voice. "Look at them," he said with scorn. "These humans, they bleed too easily. Their hearts stop in less than a century. Why do we even fear they could stand against us?" His words caused ripples of laughter. Winged beings beat their wings in amusement. Reptilian warlords hissed with mocking grins, and metallic voices from machine empires hummed in agreement. Another alien, tall and covered in golden fur, joined in. Humans call themselves survivors, yet what have they survived? Their world is small, their bodies weak, and their weapons child's toys compared to our fleets. If war comes, they will fall in days. The laughter grew louder. In the shadows of the chamber, however, a few voices stayed silent. A handful of observers had watched humanity more closely. They had seen human ships move with a strange discipline. They had studied their history and found endless wars, endless rebirths, endless survival against impossible odds. But their warnings were drowned in the storm of arrogance. On the outer rim of the hall, a messenger entered, carrying the seal of a fleet commander. His breathing was sharp, his movements urgent. He stepped forward and placed the data crystal before the council. The room fell quiet for a moment as the crystal projected the message into the air. "Report from the Orlan sector," the voice said. "Our scout fleet of 12 ships approached human territory. They were sent to test Earth's defenses. Communication has been lost. All signals vanished. No survivors reported." The silence that followed was heavy. Dozens of eyes blinked, antennas twitched, and tails shifted. Then, as if unwilling to believe, the laughter returned. "Lost? Against humans?" A lizard-like general sneered. "Perhaps your fleet got lost in a storm." "Or perhaps," another alien jeered, "the humans gave them food and wine, and now your soldiers are drunk on Earth's weak liquor." The hall erupted again with cruel jokes and mocking shouts. To them, the report was a failure of the fleet, not proof of human strength. Yet in the back, the few watchers who studied humanity did not laugh. They exchanged quiet glances, their minds restless. In the shadows, one elder whispered to another, "Do you not see? The humans stayed silent. They did not declare war. They did not boast. They only erased the fleet." The other elder frowned but said nothing. Fear was dangerous in a hall that fed on arrogance. Far away, on the edge of human space, a different scene unfolded. In a dark command room, human officers stood before glowing screens. Their faces were calm, their voices steady. Reports came in. Enemy fleet destroyed. Debris scattered across the void, no escape pods found. The commander, a stern figure with gray eyes, only gave a single order. No broadcasts. No celebrations. Increase the patrols. Let them wonder. His officers nodded in silence. No pride, no boasting. Just discipline. Back in the council, the alien leaders voted. They decided to send a second fleet, larger and stronger, to make sure the humans understood their place. In their arrogance, they believed the first fleet had simply failed by mistake. As the decision was announced, the hall cheered. The laughter was louder than before, echoing through the crystal walls. To them, this was entertainment. To them, humans were still weak. But beyond the council's sight, whispers carried across trade routes, spaceports, and border stations. Merchants spoke of human ships that never retreated.
Miners recalled stories of humans surviving explosions where no one should have lived.
Smugglers swore they had seen massive human carriers moving silently in deep space, their hulls black as night, invisible to scanners. The galaxy laughed on the surface. But deep within, the first seeds of doubt had been planted. On Earth, the skies were calm. Children played in parks, cities glowed with lights, and workers moved across colonies as if nothing had happened. Humanity showed no sign of war, no sign of fear. Yet in secret bases hidden beneath oceans and mountains, machines stirred, fleets trained, and weapons of power unknown to the galaxy were waiting. The commander stood at the edge of a hangar, looking at the shadow of a colossal warship under construction. Its engines rumbled softly, like a beast waiting to be released. He spoke quietly as if to himself, but his words carried a cold promise. They mock our weakness. Let them. The day will come when they see what true strength means. Back in the council, the alien laughter began to fade, replaced by whispers of unease. A question spread, unspoken but heavy in every mind. If humans were so weak, why did their enemies never return? The mockery had begun, but beneath it something darker was rising. Something patient. Something unstoppable. The Second Fleet left their homeworlds with pride and arrogance. Dozens of warships stretched across the stars, their hulls glowing with the marks of powerful empires. Their admiral spoke with confidence, claiming that this would not be war but punishment. To them, humanity was only a noisy child who had stepped too far into the galaxy. Now the child would be taught silence. Their ships moved through the void in formation, cutting across sectors until the blue light of human colonies appeared on their scanners. Cities spread across moons and stations glowed with steady lights. On the surface, humans worked as if nothing unusual approached. This angered the alien commanders. They had expected fear, panic, evacuations. Instead, humanity was calm. The alien fleet transmitted a warning across all human channels. Their message echoed, "Humans, surrender your colonies and weapons. You will not survive against us. Submit and we may show mercy." The transmission ended. Silence followed. The admirals waited. They expected humans to beg or at least answer with defiance, but no reply came. Minutes stretched into hours. The stars remained quiet. Human stations continued to orbit peacefully, their ships drifting like shadows. The silence was heavier than any threat. In the command center of one alien flagship, the admiral slammed his clawed hand against the console. "They dare ignore us? Prepare to fire. Let them see we do not wait for weaklings." Orders spread through the fleet. Weapons charged, energy cores roared, and missiles armed. But before they could release destruction, a sudden shift appeared on their scanners. Something moved in the darkness. The admiral leaned forward, his scaled face tightening. One by one, new signals appeared, large vessels emerging from the blackness beyond the colonies. At first, they seemed like shadows, silent and without power. But then their engines awakened, glowing faintly with cold blue fire. Human warships. The aliens stared in disbelief. These were not the fragile transports they had mocked before. These ships were built for war. Their armor was darker than space itself, their weapons hidden within sleek frames. The silence of humanity now had a shape, and it was terrifying. "Impossible," one alien captain whispered. Their records showed nothing like this. "How did they build them?" No one answered. The human fleet did not speak. No threats, no warnings. They simply moved into position, forming a wall of steel and light between Earth's colonies and the alien invaders. The admiral sneered. "So they want to fight. Fire all weapons!" The alien fleet unleashed its power. Beams of energy cut across the void. Missiles streaked like burning comets, and the darkness of space lit up with fire. The first wave of destruction struck the human warships, yet when the light cleared, the humans were still there. Their shields glowed faintly, their formations unbroken. Then the silence broke. The human flagship, larger than any alien ship in sight, powered its cannons. A low hum spread across the battlefield, deep and heavy like the growl of a beast. In a single strike, a beam of light tore through an alien cruiser, splitting it in half. The wreck drifted apart in flames. Shock spread through the alien fleet. How could one shot do so much damage? But the humans did not stop. Their ships moved with deadly precision, striking only when certain, destroying alien vessels one by one. No wasted fire, no chaos. Just cold, perfect war. Inside one alien ship, a young officer trembled as he watched his comrades fall. "Admiral, this is no mistake. They were ready for us." The admiral's voice cracked with anger. "No, they cannot be stronger. Push forward." But it was too late. Fear had begun to spread. From orbit, human marines prepared for boarding. Their dropships cut through space, attaching to crippled alien cruisers. Silence followed again, but this time it was worse. The Council would receive no survivors, no reports, only silence as it had before. The aliens who had once laughed now tasted despair. Their weapons, their pride, their numbers meant nothing. Against humanity's patience, Against humanity's hidden strength, their fleets were only prey. On the human flagship, the commander stood with his hands behind his back. His eyes were steady, his voice calm. "Do not pursue the survivors," he ordered. "Let them return with fear. Fear is more powerful than victory." His officers nodded. The silence returned, but now it was no longer emptiness. It was a shadow stretching across the galaxy, whispering of what humanity could do. Back in the council hall days later, the second report arrived. The fleet had been destroyed. Few escape ships had returned, carrying broken commanders with trembling voices. Their stories were filled with horror. They spoke of human warships appearing from nothing, of weapons that tore through shields, of soldiers who never spoke yet never failed. This time, the laughter in the council was weak. Some tried to joke, but their voices cracked. The hall was filled with unease. For the first time, the galaxy began to ask, if humanity had been weak, why did their fleets look like predators? The first encounter had ended, but it was not victory for the galaxy. It was the beginning of fear. The council chamber no longer roared with laughter. The sound of mockery had been replaced by whispers heavy and uncertain. No one wanted to admit fear aloud, yet every eye carried the same shadow. 2 fleets had vanished. 2 proud forces crushed by the very species they had called weak. Still, pride is a stubborn poison. Some empires demanded another strike. They spoke of human trickery, hidden technology, or pure luck. "No race so fragile can stand against us forever," one warlord barked. "We must finish them before their illusions grow." And so the third fleet was formed. But this time it was no scout or simple show of force. This fleet carried hundreds of ships, dreadnoughts large enough to crack planets, and carriers filled with legions of soldiers. It was a weapon meant to end wars. Entire systems were emptied of defenses just to gather the Armada. As the fleet prepared, rumors spread across the galaxy. Merchants whispered in secret about humans training in silence. Miners swore they had seen black warships in places no scanners could reach. Smugglers told stories of patrols that vanished in quiet space. None of these stories had proof, but they spread like fire. And with each retelling, the galaxy's certainty grew weaker. When the fleet entered human space, they found nothing. No fleets waiting. No defenses rising. Only empty void and silent stars. The admiral of the third fleet narrowed his eyes. "Where are they?" "Scan again." His officers obeyed, sending out waves of sensors. They returned confused. No signals, no ships, not even civilian traffic. It is as if the humans abandoned their worlds. But humans do not abandon easily. The admiral did not know he was already surrounded. From the darkness beyond nebulae and asteroid fields, human warships watched. They had learned long ago that battles were not always won by strength but by patience. Humanity's fleets moved like hunters in the night. They did not rush forward. They did not announce themselves. They simply waited. On one alien battleship, officers grew restless. "Perhaps they fear us at last," one suggested with a nervous laugh. But his laugh was brittle. Deep inside, he felt the weight of silence pressing down on him. Then it happened. A single alien frigate exploded, torn apart before alarms even sounded. Flames spread, debris scattered, and screams echoed through comms. Before the admiral could react, another ship vanished. Then another. "They are here," a voice shouted. "I cannot see them." The signal cut into static. From the black human destroyers emerged, striking like ghosts. Their engines glowed faintly, then dimmed, as if they wished only to appear when it was already too late. The aliens fired blindly into the void, their weapons flashing in every direction, but it was useless. Human ships moved too fast, too precise. Every strike was clean, every kill absolute. In the chaos, one alien commander screamed over the channels, "This is not war, it is slaughter." But slaughter was too simple a word. Human tactics were strange, almost inhuman. They did not waste fire on damaged ships. They did not chase fleeing vessels. They let fear spread naturally like smoke in a closed room. Alien soldiers heard stories of ships that never saw their killer, of fleets destroyed without a single human word spoken. The admiral of the third fleet tried to rally his forces. "Form a shield wall. Protect the dreadnoughts!" Yet even the mighty dreadnoughts fell. Beams of light pierced their thick armor, ripping open holes large enough to swallow fighters. Marines stormed the decks, silent and efficient. Survivors whispered that the humans wore black armor with no marks, no emblems, as if they fought not for glory but for something colder. One alien officer, captured in terror, asked his human opponent, "Why do you not speak? Why do you not tell us your demands?" The soldier looked at him through a dark visor, his voice quiet but heavy, because silence is stronger than fear. Then he ended the transmission. Back in the council, news of the Third Fleet arrived. This time no one laughed. The chamber fell into a silence heavier than death. The reports were fragments, broken transmissions filled with screams, explosions, and one repeating message caught by their recorders. Humanity does not forget. Humanity does not forgive. The council could no longer deny it. Humanity was not weak. Humanity had never been weak. They had hidden their strength behind quiet smiles, behind trade deals, behind polite silence. While the galaxy mocked them, they had been building, watching, preparing. Now the galaxy trembled. In hidden bases beneath mountains, in black shipyards floating between stars, humanity continued to sharpen its blades. Their commanders spoke in whispers, their soldiers trained in shadows. They did not seek praise. They did not seek allies. They only prepared for the war they knew was coming. For humanity, history was simple. Every empire before had underestimated them. Every invader had believed humans would break. None had succeeded. And now, as alien eyes turned to the void with dread, one question spread like a shadow across the stars. If this was only the beginning of humanity's war, what would the end look like? The destruction of the Third Fleet shattered illusions across the galaxy. No empire could pretend any longer that humanity's victories were accidents. Too many ships had been lost, too many soldiers vanished. The reports were consistent, and they carried the same chilling theme. Humanity was not only prepared for war, they had been preparing for a very long time. But still, pride and fear clashed inside the council chamber. Some called for peace, others for alliances, yet the strongest voices demanded escalation. Entire star clusters rallied their fleets, bringing together ships from dozens of empires. The galaxy would unleash its greatest power in one united armada. To the older civilizations, this was the final answer. They had crushed rebellions before, silenced rising powers, and burned countless systems into dust. Humanity, they believed, would be no different. And so the largest fleet in galactic history assembled. Its scale was beyond comprehension. Carriers stretching for kilometers, dreadnoughts dark enough to block out stars, and swarms of fighters like clouds of steel. They called it the Endless Dawn, meant to bring a final sunrise to humanity's defiance. When this colossal armada entered human space, the galaxy held its breath. Billions watched through broadcasts, waiting to see the fragile humans finally fall. At first, the void seemed empty. No human fleets appeared, no resistance stirred. The alien admirals felt the old surge of arrogance rise again. Perhaps humanity had finally broken, but then the stars changed. One by one, lights appeared across the blackness. Enormous shapes moved silently, their hulls reflecting no signal, no heat. They emerged like mountains from the night, so vast they seemed to rewrite the very map of space. The galaxy had never seen ships like these. Human carriers, larger than anything the Council had imagined, unfolded their wings of steel. Destroyers, invisible until the last moment, lit their engines and formed into perfect lines. Orbital cannons hidden on moons awoke, glowing like red eyes in the dark. It was as if the entire void had been waiting for this moment. The alien admirals watched in horror as they realized the truth. Humanity had not been silent because of weakness. They had been silent because they were ready. Impossible, one commander gasped. No species could build this in secret. Not without our knowledge. But humanity had always been underestimated. On the flagship Iron Resolve, Commander Hale stood with calm eyes. Around him, officers reported readiness. Across the fleet, human soldiers waited, their faces hidden behind black visors, their breath steady. No one cheered, no one spoke of glory. They fought not for honor, but for survival. Hale raised his hand. Begin, the void ignited. Human cannons roared with a force that shook the silence of space. Beams of light cut through the galaxy's greatest dreadnoughts, tearing them apart as if they were made of paper. Fighters poured out in disciplined swarms, striking with precision that alien fleets could not match. Alien ships tried to answer, unleashing their firepower, but their beams shattered harmlessly against human shields. Missiles that should have cracked stations were intercepted mid-flight by invisible drones. Every strategy the galaxy trusted failed. It was not only strength. It was patience. It was knowledge. It was centuries of war carved into human history, sharpened into one perfect weapon. On an alien bridge, an officer shouted, "They're ships. How are they so many? How did they build this without us seeing?" The admiral whispered the answer, though he did not wish to believe it. Because while we mocked them, they prepared. Across the battlefield, alien voices filled comms with panic. "We are being surrounded. They are everywhere. We cannot retreat." But humanity did not mock. They did not laugh. They spoke only through destruction. On one world, billions watched the live feeds. They saw alien dreadnoughts explode, carriers torn apart, and fleets that once ruled the stars reduced to burning wreckage. Fear spread, but with it came awe. For the first time in galactic history, a younger race had risen not as prey but as predator. Back in the human fleet, Commander Hale gave a simple order. Hold the line. Do not chase them. Let them remember this day. And so, when the shattered remnants of the Armada limped away, they carried stories that no one could ignore. Stories of warships larger than mountains. Stories of cannons that split dreadnoughts. Stories of humans who fought with silence as if victory was not triumph but duty. The galaxy trembled. The council hall, once filled with laughter, now sat in silence. No one dared speak the words aloud, but all felt the same truth pressing down like the weight of a star. Humanity had shown its true might. And this was not their limit, it was only their beginning. The smoke of war still drifted across the void. Wreckage from the greatest armada in history floated silently among the stars. Broken hulls, shattered wings, and the remains of once proud empires now scattered like dust. The galaxy's strongest weapons had been unleashed. They had failed, but humanity had not failed. Humanity had endured. The broadcast spread like wildfire. Millions of worlds watched the same images. Alien dreadnoughts burning, warlords screaming, fleets collapsing beneath the weight of human silence. For centuries, the galaxy had mocked humanity's fragility. Now they whispered humanity's name with fear. Inside the Galactic Council, no laughter remained. The grand crystal hall, once alive with arrogance, felt like a tomb. Leaders of countless species sat in silence, their voices trapped by dread. The reports lay before them. 3 fleets destroyed, tens of thousands of ships lost, billions of soldiers dead or vanished. Humanity's losses were minimal, their presence unshaken. Finally, one elder broke the silence. His scaled skin gleamed faintly in the pale light. His voice trembled, though he tried to hide it. They were never weak. We were blind. The chamber erupted, not with laughter but with panic. Voices overlapped, arguments raged. Some shouted for peace, others for surrender, while the most desperate demanded revenge. But none dared suggest laughter anymore. In the middle of this storm, a messenger arrived. He carried a transmission from the edge of human space. The council fell quiet as the projection shimmered into the air. It was not an alien voice. It was human. The figure that appeared was dressed in black uniform, his face calm, his tone measured. There was no pride in his voice, no joy, no cruelty. Only patience. You mocked us. You called us weak. You sent your fleets to erase us. Yet here we stand. The silence in the chamber deepened. Every leader listened, every heart tightened. We do not seek conquest. We do not seek glory, but we do not forgive. The figure leaned closer, his eyes like cold steel. Remember this, we prepared while you mocked. We watched while you laughed. And when you came for us, we answered. We will always answer. The transmission ended. For a long moment, no one spoke. Then one council member whispered the thought that all carried in their hearts. If this is only their beginning, what will their end look like? Far from the council, in the black heart of space, humanity prepared in silence. Shipyards stretched across hidden systems, their frames forging more titans of steel. Factories thundered beneath oceans, building weapons unseen by scanners. Entire worlds trained soldiers not for pride but for survival. On Earth, life looked peaceful. Children played in green fields. Families walked in cities lit with soft lights, and skies remained calm. But beneath the ground, in bunkers and command centers, humanity's greatest minds continued their work. They built weapons the galaxy could not imagine. They forged fleets the council could not count. Commander Hale stood once more at the edge of a colossal hangar. Before him, a new warship loomed, larger than anything built before. Its black hull swallowed light, its engines hummed like a slumbering beast. He looked upon it with quiet resolve. "They will not stop," he said to the officer beside him. "They will try again." "They will always try," the officer nodded. "And we will always be ready." Hale's gaze did not shift from the warship. "Readiness is not enough. We must make them remember. Fear will keep them from ever trying again." The officer hesitated. "And if fear is not enough?" Hale's voice dropped to a whisper, cold and steady. "Then we will show them what comes after fear." Across the galaxy, whispers grew like storms. Traders refused to cross into human space. Smugglers spoke of entire fleets that disappeared without trace. Colonies near human borders emptied, their people fleeing from the shadow that stretched wider with every passing day. The galaxy trembled, not because humanity had conquered, but because humanity had endured. For centuries, the Council had believed strength was measured by size, by wealth, by technology. But humanity had revealed a deeper truth. True strength was patience, silence, and the refusal to break. Now, every empire feared the same nightmare. If humanity had hidden this much power in silence, what else did they hide? If this was their beginning, what would their endgame be? The stars themselves seemed to hold their breath, and in that breath the galaxy realized something terrible. Humanity was not the weakest race. Humanity was the storm they had mocked into existence, and the storm had only just begun.